Hello everybody, welcome back. We got our next one up here. Driver Syndicate, please introduce yourself if you want to.
Yeah.
What you're gonna play.
No problem. Do that. Yeah, I'm Viper or ViperUK. Go whichever you wish to do so. This is the Driver Syndicate. We're doing a mission, a set of missions today. We're doing a mod that is made for the game. We'll get into that in a second. But what you'll be seeing here is all Miami missions, the classic version. But yeah, this is, as I said, the Driver Syndicate. It was a idea that was released by the Drive community. It was made by the fans. Because Ubisoft has the IP rights, but doesn't actually make the game. So, or hasn't made a game in 11, 12 years, maybe a bit longer. I think it was 2011 actually, the last time they made a Drivers game. So the community decided to go upon itself and actually make one of its own. So here you go. Yeah, so we're going to be doing the classic missions today, and we can pick between any of the 3 default cars. And time will start as soon as we hit new game. So, ready to go on time, I'll give you a countdown.
I'm completely ready.
Yeah. Cool, here we go. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so thank you. Immediately you'll notice that we've actually got a few things straight away, which you may be familiar with, that we've got to do to get out of the way. Now, the main point of this undercover mission, or the Miami missions, always starts out with one of the hardest in the entire game, which is this. It involves us doing laps, doing slaloms and things like that. Now, probably just worth mentioning, so I do speedrun the original Driver, the actual Driver 1 game, and we can do it a lot faster than what you can see here. However, because of this having slightly different physics and everything like that, it makes things a lot more different. So, for example, between missions, you get a apartment cutscene thing. That's something that wasn't in the original game. So, just to give you a quick brief, a bit of a rundown as to what all this is. So, the Driver Syndicate started out as a project released back in 2018 by a guy called Soapy. Between himself and a bunch of other folks in the Driver Man's Discord, decided to come up with the idea of, well, if Ubisoft isn't making Driver games from the IP, which they have, you know, because they own the rights to the IP, if they're not going to make a game, then we'll make one ourselves. So the community stepped in, you know, brand new engine and things like that, and yeah, they decided, you know what, let's make our own. So they did. Anyway, one of the mods that came out of it was this, called the Classic Syndicate. And the Classic Syndicate only has Miami on it for now, but it'd be nice if there was other cities. I'm sure we'll get a full mod one day. So, in Driver, for those that don't know, you play as John Tanner, and he's an undercover cop, and we have to take down, I think, a few gangs. One of them is led by a guy called Castaldi. And there's a massive plot. It gets a lot bigger as you go. But yeah, so what we're going to talk about today, or mainly what I'm going to show off today, is this mod, is the Classic Syndicate mod. So, just to kind of mention, so in Driver, the game goes off its own branching paths with its own missions. Now, this mod doesn't actually have any of this stuff where you can go off on your own branching path. One thing that it does do is it allows for a few other bits and pieces, such as allows you to play all of the missions in Miami. Now, if I was to do a run of Driver 1, we'd skip about half the missions in Miami. But in this mod, you play through every single mission, which is really, really cool. And it kind of forces you to play them all. So some that you would not normally see, you'll see in this mod. Now, the music you're hearing may sound a bit different to what you're probably used to, and that is because of the fact that the music was actually remastered by Alistair Brimble. So, for those that don't know, Alistair Brimble is the guy that made the music for Driver 1 and Driver 2, and because of the community coming together and creating this game, he actually came back and was like, you know what, I will, you know, it's like, I'll see if I can dig out like the original instruments and the original files to, you know, to when he used to make the Driver soundtrack. And turns out, lo and behold, he managed to find them. It probably wasn't easy for him to find them out, to dig them and find the instruments and everything that he used to play. But in the end, they ended up remaking all of his music, remastering them. The original soundtrack is still pretty good in its own right. But all the music you can hear is done with like updated instruments and updated sound, which I think is really cool. To add a bit more flavour to this game as well, even though this is only a fan project, the community actually got behind each other. And one of the guys in the Drive community, there's a lot of different members that stand out to me, but one of the main members of the community in my eyes, aside from Soapy himself, who helped create this, is a guy called Vortex, or Vortex Story. It used to be Vortex LeBeige, but it's Vortex Story, but he's called Vortex. And there's a Driver YouTuber, mainly focuses on Driver and the Ubisoft games and things like that. Would highly recommend checking him out because he does some really great content, things like that. I've been lucky enough to work with him on one occasion, and he actually reached out to Alistair Brimble and said, you know, look, I know we're only a fan-based project, but is there any chance that you could possibly create a brand new theme song for our game? I know it's a big ask, but is there any chance that you could create a theme song? And he's like, I'll see what I can do, but yeah, I should be able to do that. So anyway, lo and behold, he actually did create a brand new theme song. So yeah, this game got a completely new theme and everything like that. Obviously, being in a more updated engine to the original game, it means that you now get to play the game at 60 FPS. The night and day physics, the night and day dynamic weather approach is really cool. And like I said, thanks to modding and modders, you're able to, you know, play mods like this. It's really cool. Now, I want to actually try and get rid of this cop if I can, mainly because of the fact that I need to get rid of him before I get to Tico. Might be my lucky day. No, he's not. No, it is not my lucky day. Oh, good. It's my lucky day if he's stuck in there. So, for those that don't know, now this isn't what I wanted to happen. I wanted to get rid of the cop. Now, in the original game, for those that don't know, I've Austin powered this, haven't I? Come on. There we go. There we go. So, in Driver 1, its damage physics were essentially, you could grind living daylight out of the car and you'd be able to wreck cops pretty easily by just, like, it doesn't matter if you got to the end, you could just wreck the cops and there you go. But then in this game, what you're able to do was it took the damage physics from like Driver 2, and for those that don't know, so the damage physics between Driver 1 and Driver 2 were completely different. So Driver 1's damage physics were you could grind the cars down to absolutely nothing. In Driver 2, you had to like rub the cars against each other, and if you hit a car, it would stop you dead and everything. There we are. That's pretty good. Actually, that one. I was quite happy that I didn't get much anything there, so that's pretty good. But yeah, that's kind of about it. Now, there is a couple of missions that I've not even talked about yet. So, as I was saying, because of the plot, we've gone through a couple of missions already. So, we've done the interview, which is at the start. We did the bank job, which was helping a small gang rob the bank. Hide the evidence was to do with supposedly the money going missing, so you had to hide the evidence somewhere. The next mission after that was Tico's ride. So Tico was to see a guy who had a bad memory. So presumably the guy owed him money, from what we've seen. You may notice as well that the handling physics, jump physics, everything about this game, for those that play Driver, it is completely different to the original Driver, because obviously with it being in a brand new engine, it was a case of all the physics will be different. So the cars do jump and bounce a bit more than they used to in the original game. The cars do understeer a bit more, and I think it gave the more authentic 70s experience. Now you also have no kill zones like this, where your felony gets cleared like that. So that's something. This is a 2-part mission. 6 seconds we get felony every time. That happens on the original game as well. And I will just say as well that if you've played Drive on the PS1, then you'll probably be surprised at how close this mod actually resembles the missions. So as far as the community is concerned, like I said, they have done a pretty good job of, you know, of this mod and everything like that. The cops do go a bit faster, slightly a bit quicker, though they are a bit more of a challenge to throw off. And our cars max at 90, whereas the cops' do not. So getting rid of a cop can be very tricky, and in some cases can be very annoying. Right. So I can probably fit through probably a small gap, or not. Maybe not. Okay, I guess this cop is coming with me all the way. There we go. The hell, he's wrecking me for a change. That's not normal. Doesn't usually wreck me. There we go. Just gonna wreck him at the end here. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do here other than wreck him. And as I was saying, with the damage physics being like they are, he might wreck himself, I don't know. There we go. Took a bit longer than it should have, but there you go. So that's that one. Done and dusted. But for those that don't know or didn't realise, so Tico's ride is always followed by the cleanup. And the reason being is because if it wasn't obvious, I'm pretty sure it was, but if it wasn't obvious, Tico did actually kill someone, as he even alludes to, saying his memory just got better. Well, it would do if you stuck a gun in a guy's face. Surprisingly though, Driver was always seen as the game that wasn't, it was just like, oh, I just remember, everyone's like, oh, I remember Driver, it was that one game that I played as a kid and I always got stuck on the car park mission. And you'd be right for saying that. But if you actually look into the plot a bit more and follow the plot, it turns out that there is actually a bit more of a teen R-rated story, which involves like shootouts and guns and stuff like that. In fact, the first 2 Driver games are like that. Surprisingly, Driver was, unbeknownst to me, Driver was a series that I just saw as, oh, you just have to, you can drive cars, but wee. But really, it was like, even the first 2 games were about, gunfights and stuff like that, as well as car chases and people getting arrested and everything like that. So there you go. But it was a bit more sinister than you thought. Like I said, so Tico dealt with that guy because he shot the guy and killed him. The cleanup mission is basically, it's a 2-part mission. I think it is. You got Tico's ride and you got the cleanup, so it's a 2-parter. Well, that is mainly through just trying to clean up the mess that he'd left in the house, supposedly, because he kills the guy. But yeah, this is case for a key. I'm probably a bit late and a bit behind on this, but yeah. So this is a 3-part mission. So first part is to go and meet a bunch of guys that are going to give you, I think it's some money or something like that. And then you have the second part, which is to go and make the exchange with them at the docks. And then that is followed by a finale, which is chasing a boat to the harbour. Now, as I was saying, so in the main Driver speedrun, we won't be doing, so in terms of like the missions that we've done so far, in the speedrun for Driver, in just in Miami on its own, oops, what happens is you do the interview first, then the bank job, Tico's ride, the cleanup, then it's the next missions after this, which is Tanner meets Rufus and bust out Jean-Paul. Once you've done that, you then do Superfly Drive, take out D'Angio's car, and the informant. And that's it, that's Miami done dust. It's about 20 something minutes. Well, obviously, as I said, this mod has every mission in Miami. So this includes all the missions you would normally have skipped. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got a mod yet for the other 3 cities in this game, which are San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, but I would 100% love to see it. I'd absolutely love to see a complete like driver remaster in the Driver Syndicate, which is really cool. Now, the top left corner, you'll see that it is like the original game where you have the damage and the felony. The damage and the felony bars are actually a mod on top of this mod, because originally the felonies showed in percentage amongst everything else. There we go. Nice. So next we do Tanner meets Rufus, which is a straightforward A to B mission. It's not too difficult. So at this point in the story, you've helped a guy called Tico and you've helped clean up his mess. And now someone called Rufus is in the picture and wants to meet with you. Now, it is actually mentioned at the start of the game in the story that Rufus is already in the picture. So his name is given to you straight from the start, but you don't actually meet him until about the 4th or the 5th mission. And surprisingly, he doesn't last too long in the story either. Even though he's there, he's just kind of like... He's not a dead end, but he is a... What do you call it? Is it an informant, you call it in the police, I guess? Someone who gives you information. I'd say it is an informant, right? But yeah, there you go. As I was saying though, so the physics are completely different, and you even see as well in the bottom right corner and underneath the map that there is a there's a speedometer, and again, that's not there normally in the game. Again, that's been added in. In the PS1 version, there is no speedometer, but in the PC and iOS releases, there is a speedometer. So, fun fact about the game. So the game released in the original driver released back in 1999, released for PlayStation and PC. However, it got a Game Boy Color release in 2001, I believe it was, and in 2009 or 2010, Gameloft was famously known for the creators behind the Asphalt series for mobile devices and everything. They make that game, so there you go. They made the iOS version of Driver. Now, this mission involves us busting out a guy called Jean-Paul. Now, this is actually someone that Rufus just told us about, so we're going to try and bust him out. Now, fortunately, rubber banding is a thing. So, because of how the game is, you're able to catch Rufus's car, catch the police car. There we go. Cool. Now, I will just quickly mention one thing. So this is actually slightly busted in my version of the game. So to kind of give you a heads up, so you bust out Jean-Paul because Rufus tells you to bust him out. But here's the other thing. In the Driver Syndicate, now in this mod, for some reason we think that this is because of... We think this is a bug with my game because it doesn't seem to have happened for anybody else, but at this point the game is actually supposed... So the mod is supposed to run a script. And basically the script is how it performs in the original Driver. So for those that haven't played the original Driver, once you've took down the cop car that has got Jean-Paul in it, once you took down that cop car that's carrying Jean-Paul, you have to then go from that point, wherever you stopped that car, to the safe house. Now, thanks for that cop. He didn't need to do that. That was a bit nasty of him. But in my version of the game, for some odd reason, it starts me at the standard respawn, which is basically right at the very start of the mission, like where it would be, which is the where the apartment and the carriage is. Oh, nice, we got 2 cops. This will be fun trying to get out of here. Now, can I get away from these 2 cops? I can get away from one. Can I get away from the other? Nice if I did. Nice. I'm gonna head straight over to the garage here. Now he's gonna follow me all the way. Wow. Guy's just messing with me here. Come on. There we go. Finally. Now, as I was saying, because of the way that Driver is, normally in the regular game I could just grind the damage down and get rid of him, like, instantly. And that would guarantee me finish the mission. But due to the damage physics of the Driver Syndicate, we can't do that, as you can obviously tell. So, welcome to a mission that, again, you don't see in the regular Driver speedrun. This is called Payback. And Payback involves you wrecking 5 restaurants. Sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? Now, in the terms of the story, I have no idea where this actually relates to in terms of, like, the storyline. I don't know whose restaurants these are. You just get told as, like, one of the missions to wreck, yeah, to wreck the restaurants. But the thing is, the reason why, for those that are unaware, the reason why we do the missions that we do in the Driver speedrun normally is because that is the fastest route of missions, and it also involves us having to do less missions, which is more time gained throughout the entire run. So, for example, if you do Payback, then the mission that comes straight after it is called A Shipment's Coming In. Now, obviously, if I so desired, I could do, you know, I could do another mission entirely, but obviously in this mod, we've got no choice, we have to do it. But yeah, we do have to, like I said, we have to wreck 5 restaurants altogether. Like I said, the other thing is as well about this mod is that it shows off every single mission in Miami, which is something that if you watch a regular Driver speedrun, you don't actually see. Unless you're a blind runner, then obviously you just do whatever missions you want to try because you don't know how the speedrun route works. But yeah, so there's a few other good things as well. So in Miami, you also drive the fastest car as well. So that's another good plus, which will be coming up. One other thing I do want to actually mention is that there's the next mission is called The Shipment's Coming In. Now, on the PS1 version, this isn't usually a problem. However, given how the game handles the police on here, we're going to take A Shipment's Coming In a bit easy, just so that we're able to, you know, get through it just nice and easy. So, and it's also more convenient not having police on your tail. Get there. So we've got to pick up the hardware. Now we have a lot of time to do this. That's one of the main things. You have 3 and a bit minutes to get to the warehouse. Now obviously we want to make sure that the police aren't following us, so I'm going to try and go as quick as possible. Of course, it's a speedrun. Why not? But yeah, there is a huge variety of mods for Driver Syndicate. And like I said, the thing is, the game's not even like... It's not out as a full release. You can get hold of the Driver Syndicate. It's always being updated because it's always in development. And I'm sure that the developer wouldn't mind me saying this, but credit to him and all of the testers that have put the effort in. Like I said, this is a project that's been going on since 2018. And like I said, the main reason they're doing it is because Ubisoft has the IP and they're not doing anything. So, there you go. Also, since I'm not really in the mood to hang around here. I'm actually gonna get the police on me here. So we'll see how we get on. But yeah, as I was saying, because of the way that Ubisoft has handled the series, it's like, you know, we'll make our own. And to be honest, like I said, credit to the Drive community for doing that and actually deciding to make their own. It's absolutely amazing that they've decided to do this. There we go. We've got the hardware, we now need to get back to the motel. Now, because this is in the dark, you have to really know your way around this place. Another good thing is that if I smash my headlights out, the car does go dark and I can't see anything. So, unlike on Drive 1, I mean, Drive 1 you can still see everything even in the dark. I mean, you can always just cheat and just turn the brightness up. To be honest, I think that's what everybody did when it came down to games that were dark. But yeah, in the PS1 version you can actually still see where you're going. In this, it becomes not impossible, but it becomes a lot more tougher to actually see where you're going, which I think makes the challenge all the more interesting. Not only that, as I was saying, the cops are a lot more relentless, but then there's also another fun thing as well, which is, well, you know when you jump in the air, because of the jumping physics, you're actually able to jump into the water, and we had on one occasion where the police was following me, and were unfortunate enough that they couldn't, they ended up jumping and they went like sideways, and what ended up happening was they get to the end and the next thing is like, oh dear, oops, and they're in the water, and it was quite funny, to be honest. So anyway, with that mission done and dusted, we now move on to Superfly Drive, which is with the fastest car in the game. Now, you only drive this once in the entire game. Now, if you've got Game Shark codes and stuff like that, you can actually drive this car a hell of a lot more. But there's also one other thing I just want to quickly mention. And this mission is very difficult on the PS1 version. But here's the thing. It's difficult, and it's even worse when you consider the region differences. So if you were unlucky enough to play the European release like I was, this mission would give you about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to get to the other side of the map. That's actually not as much time as you think, and sometimes involves playing risky strats to get to, well, where you need to get to. So that's the first thing. If you play on the North American release, you get 2 minutes and 43 seconds, but if you play the Japanese release, you get 2 minutes and 50 seconds. As such, for speedrun purposes, and if you were playing on emulator, I would highly recommend playing the Japanese release because you get more time. Now, as I was saying, to make this more interesting, they give you a timer, and it sounds like a lot of time, but it really isn't, because, like I said, of the fact of how much speed the car is carrying, and everything like that. And also, this car is extremely fragile as well. So, like, a few slight knocks up is going to boost my damage. Obviously, in the PS1 version, it's worse because you can grind damage away. It only takes, I think, like 5 hits or 1 big hit, and that's the car instantly wrecked. So you do have to play caution to the wind with this mission on the PS1 version. The PC version has the annoying factor of having police respawn pretty fast compared to PS1, which in my opinion is why the PS1 version is better. Up until recently, the iOS port hasn't really been playable or doable, but thanks to recent advancements, you can now play Driver, the iOS release. Yeah, you can now play it on the iOS port via emulation, which is really good. So our next mission involves taking this guy's car out, called D'Angio, and he is a bit of a pain, so we're going to hopefully try and get him. And he's already got away from it. Gonna stay with him. Might get away from me. There we go. So, one thing that's worth noting about these cars is they have infinite mass. So if I try and full on ram him, I'm not gonna get anywhere with this. Also, yeah, try and navigate a tunnel in the dark with no headlights. It's impossible. Not great. We've got to try and take him down. Hopefully I can get him. Now, he is a bit tricky to get, so we'll see how we get on. So you can see here that it's limited me 90. But if I pull away from him, if I move away from him, I can actually catch him. There we go. Nice, we got him. Okay, so second to last mission. This is called Bait for a Trap. This is a mission we don't do in the regular speedrun either. And this is why. So, in Bait for a Trap, what you need to do is you need to go and lure this guy out. And the way we're going to lure this guy out is by wrecking his car, as it says on the screen. We're going to drive to the other side of the map, wreck his car, and then what we've got to do is we've got to lure him to a car park. Now, in recent runs that I've done, he has unfortunately been a bit of a nuisance and has ended up losing me just before the tunnel. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play this one safe, and I'm going to make sure that I slow down enough, or hit a tree. That's not what I want to do, but basically slow down enough so that he follows me to the car park and I don't lose him. So we're going to take... This is the... So you'll notice as well on the map as well, there's 3 highways. The one on the left, the thin one, this thin one, is a lot more dangerous than the other 2. Mainly because of how long it is. And in Superfly Drive, you can actually use this in this mod. Although, wouldn't recommend it, but you can use this highway. Mainly because of the fact that the police aren't as... not as wrecking as they should be. Now, because of the way the physics are, it does mean that you're able to get the cops to roll over and stuff like that. Cars do roll over a lot easier and stuff like that, so there you go. Also, by weaving in and out of traffic, it seems like we're actually getting away from them. That's pretty good. That'll be a first. It actually works. Turns out weaving in between traffic does work. So, we finally got to our guy. Here he is. He's up here. He's parked in the rich neighborhood, of course. So we're going to annoy him. Like I said, how are we going to annoy him? Easy. As I said, we wreck his car. But what you can actually do is you can wreck his car by just hitting the front. We're going to hit the front. There we go. Also, now, I'll just mention as well, you heard a bit of bleeping there. So in the North American release, they bleeped him speaking. In the PC release, he actually does swear. Now, I say he swears. He doesn't swear. He says, "That's my goddamn wheels, man." I mean, technically, yeah, I suppose it is blasphemy, but it's not like as bad as, you know, effing and jeffing and all the rest of it. So we want to now keep him behind us, and I want to make sure I don't lose him, which is looking pretty good. My main concern is crossing over here. So he needs to follow me all the way in, like that. And there we go. Nice. And finally, the last mission, the Informant. Now this is seen as a very tricky mission, and usually it's pretty easy in this mod. I'll let you know when time's coming up. Also, welcome to Rain Physics. You get to see them for the first time in this mod. And in this game in its entirety. So what we've got to do is, during the story, which I had barely even mentioned, that the person we are trying to catch is a woman called Jessie. Now, earlier in the story, unbeknownst to you guys, Rufus was shot by Jessie. Now, Jessie is someone he brings along, and you think, oh, it's his girlfriend or something, you know. But she's not. It turns out that she's working for a big undercover boss, and they want Rufus out of the picture because he's an informant. So as a result, she shoots him and kills him, and obviously you get to his apartment, you find out, wait a minute, he's dead. Also, and that's time. There we go. And that is the Syndicate, the Driver Syndicate, all Miami missions classic. Like I said, she ends up shooting him and kills him, and then you end up chasing after him. And then from there, it's a case of once you do catch her, you end up arresting her and get her in a conference room. Let's say conference room, whatever it is, questioning room, and she says she spills the beans, and it turns out that the guy you're chasing was heading for San Francisco, which is where the rest of the rest of the game carries on. It picks up. So yeah, pretty decent run. I'll take a 33-33 to be honest. It could have been better, but again, anything can happen. But yeah, we do have another game coming up from myself, which is Citroën C4 Robot. I don't know if I want to wait 2 seconds whilst I change over.
Yeah, let's go set that up right now. We're gonna hop to the transition screen for just a couple minutes, and then we will have the next one ready. So, sit tight. We will be live again. Alright, welcome back. Here is the next run, which will be the Citroën Robot Run. Take it away. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
The countdown.
This should be a fun run. So we've got a bunch of colours that we can pick from. So for those that don't know what this is, this will be something else. It's a very short run. Blink and you'll miss it. It's all done via the keyboard, and this might not be the best in the world, but we'll see how we go. I'm gonna go with blue, because I like the colour blue. So basically, this is based around the Citroën C4. the car released in the mid to late 2000s, and for those that were unaware, I'm pretty sure everybody saw the adverts back in the day. But the adverts for the car involved as you can see, like a robot style feature. Would highly recommend checking out Citroën C4 robot advert or something on YouTube. You'll find it. Anyway, so the Turkish decided it'd be a great idea if they made a game based on it, and they did so. It wasn't much of one, but it was certainly something. So the idea of this game is that you do two laps around a circuit, and obviously we're going to use a mix of the robot and of the car, and it's 2 laps around this circuit, so we'll see how we get on. So if we're ready on time, I'll get going in 3, 2, 1, go. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not expecting a miracle, but here goes nothing. So here we go. You might hear a bit of clicking. So you drive the Citroën C4, of course, but you also get these turbo pads here, which boost the car up to some ridiculous speeds, and we're going to use them to boost ourselves like that. And then we're going to use this here, and we're going to jump like that, because apparently this is how physics work. And there you go. So this is apparently how a car can just transform into a robot, and yeah, there you go. So the Citroën C4 as a car wasn't too bad, I believe. It was a decent car, despite it being a Citroën. But yeah, here you go. So you get Seals playing as the car, but also as the robot. So what this also means is that we're going to be doing this and then going like this and putting back to this again. There's a fair bit of this going on. Now there is a bit of a fun one here, which involves doing this. There we go, and then nice. And we're back in. Nice. Now, fun fact, I actually did like a best of 3 run for this at an event last year, and it went down very, very well. Now, the record for this, I believe, is like 3:21 in game time, because the way we've decided on this was in game time. So the record is very, very short, and it's by ViperUK, I believe. And yeah, fair to say a few people have had a crack at the record. I was just like, I'd be happy to get like any sort of good time, to be honest. You know, I'd be happy to get like anything around the 340, 350 mark, so that's good. There we go. Like that, and then I'm gonna jump on here again. Like I said, so if you're wondering, by the way, why we do what we do with the robot, why we go the way we do, it's because it's actually the fastest way to it. So using the car when you need to, but if you go around a corner in the car, it might not stick to the road, whereas using the robot, he can grind around the corner like that. And there you go. So we're going to hopefully get through here. Like I said, time will be at the end of this, so just so you're aware. And we're going to get one of the... Oops. Well, would do if I didn't hit that. That would have been a pretty good time. Never mind. There we go. There we go. Nice. So I'm going to actually use the robot here. It was a bit of a... That was good, though. I had good momentum then. That's a shame. This could have been PB, too. There's also times where the robot will do that and he won't jump on the sides, which does suck a bit. But yeah, like I said, very short game. It's only 2 laps around the circuit. Would highly recommend checking out the record run. It's pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's not like fully optimized, but again, it's a run that anybody can do. And you can get hold of this. It's actually on My Abandonware. as a game that you can try. So if you want to give this game a try, feel free to do so. And time. There you go. And that's it. It was a 3:53.724. But yeah, there you go. That is Citroën C4 Robot. It's a fun little game. Like I said, feel free to give this game a try. It's very short. And honestly, genuinely speaking, it is just one of them that you could pick up. You could probably play this for about 15 or 20 minutes, then put it down again, and then come back a bit later on. But like I said, as a game, it's a meme. I submitted this as a bit of a meme, thinking it might get in, it might not. Who knows? So many thanks to Fangame Marathon for accepting this run. I'm glad that the driver Syndicate was shown off, because we've showed it off like once before at one event, so it's nice that it gets a bit more coverage. And as well, with it being a fan-made game, it's actually really good. I do have to actually agree with Nim in the chat as well, saying that it would be really good if it had more content. I do believe if we got a Citroën C4 full game with laps and everything, and also like 3 or 4 races, this game would be like a lot more fun to watch. And even though it could probably be like something short that's 15-20 minutes, I think that could work quite well. But yeah, like I said, easily get hold of this game via my abandoned way. You can look it up. It's very easy. The game is in Turkish, so if you don't understand it, it'll be a case of obviously going through bits and pieces. But also, not just that, it's a case of, yeah, just enjoy yourself and see how you get on. And yeah, feel free to hit the leaderboards. We could definitely do with a competition on there. So yeah, good fun. Anyhow,
Awesome. Thank you very much for the runs. They were super entertaining to watch.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, that was awesome. So what we have next in store is actually a very special event. We are going to see the Celeste Blind event again, which means that a couple mappers have made a completely new Celeste mod for this event, and Isabel, Paradash, Toho, and Vidi are going to be racing this map without ever having seen it before. It's going to be great. You're not going to want to miss it, so stay tight. And we'll see you very, very soon.